The MVP race and the playoff race is heating up. Me, JB, today we're going to break down the MVP race. Who do we think's ahead in the MVP race, and playoff teams that we think are going to disappoint us in the playoffs. We're going to get into all that and more right after this.
Thank you for tuning in to the number one place for your daily basketball fix, NBA Central. Hosted by the one and only CEO Haize.
All right, JB, what's going on? The Prodigal One's back in the building. It's been a minute. JB's back, so we get to talk basketball. I'm excited for this. JB, let's talk about the MVP race, man, to start off. Right now, MVP race is kind of looked at as Joel Embiid, Jokic kind of separate themselves from the rest of the pack. Giannis Antetokounmpo is always going to be in that conversation as well. How are you viewing the MVP race for this season?
I don't know, man. It's been a big debate right now, and I know it's going back and forth. And I think we got to start it as like, what is the MVP as it is? Is it the person who's scoring the most points? I think Giannis, or somebody said the other day, is it the person who's scoring the most points? Is it the person who's actually most valuable to their team? I mean, for me, and this is just me, right now, I have Joel Embiid as the leader. I know, but I don't know, man. It's for me, it's Joel Embiid, and I think it really goes down to reception of the MVP.
So I don't think it's points. I don't think you can quantify it to any one stat. When I look at the MVP, in my opinion, the MVP is who impacts their team the most and helps their team win the most. Like when you go back to, I'm a Bulls fan, the Derrick Rose season where he won MVP, he wasn't the best player that season. He didn't score the most points, but that team and what he meant to that team would have not been. He helped push that team way further than they would have gone, and that's why I think you hear Giannis in the not Giannis, I'm sorry. When you hear Nikola Jokic in the conversation as much because he's the engine that makes that team go. If it wasn't for him, that team would still be a solid team, don't get me wrong, but they wouldn't be the number one team in the West if it wasn't for him there. So I think that's where you hear the conversations. I do think Joel Embiid is absolutely having an MVP season as well. He's on pace to play some of the most games he's played, I think, in his career, which is huge. He's doing it. The Sixers are winning, but to me, I don't look at the Sixers as a team the same way I do the Denver Nuggets. But at the same time, too, it's hard to get that third MVP in a row. That puts him in a very rare category if he was able to do that. But what about you, bro?
Well, let me ask you this. So I see your point with Jokic, but let's say, God forbid, Joel Embiid goes down. Are the 76ers still a number two team in the East?
No, but the East is a much weaker conference. I'll say if Embiid goes down, and we've seen it with seasons where Embiid hasn't played a lot because of pain management and things like that. I think they're still what, top four in the East probably. If Jokic goes out, you remove Jokic from the team, Denver Nuggets are a playing team.
And I kind of feel that way with the Bucks. Like, not necessarily they're a playing team without Giannis, but you remove Giannis, they're like probably at best maybe 4 or 5. I don't see them, without Giannis. So it's really weird when it comes down to the MVP thing, and no one really knows what the criteria is because they've never come out and actually said this is the criteria we go by. So it's like a hidden thing. Is it sometimes favoritism or whatever going on behind the scenes?
Sure,
probably. But I just think it's Joel Embiid's time, man. Like, something has to be said about the Nuggets as well, in terms of where they've gone with Jokic, in terms of like playoffs and things like that. Where have they gone? They've gone nowhere. Same thing can be said with Joel Embiid, but if we're going with that criteria, now we have to talk about Giannis.
Well, see, and that's why it's a regular season award. You can't really factor in postseason success with that. So, and even with that, winning does matter because to me, and I have a whole video on this, is that if winning wasn't part of the MVP conversation, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander should be in the MVP conversation if that was the case, because he's having an MVP level season. His team just ain't winning to get him even near that conversation. So, I can't, and that's the thing, I can't argue with Embiid or Nikola Jokic.
Giannis.
I can't. My brain. Nikola Jokic. I can't really argue either one of those players. If either one of them get it, they get it. Giannis, like I said, can always be in that conversation. Like there's never going to be. Well, let me not say never, but I'm rarely gonna have an issue with him being in the conversation. I just don't think he's up there with the other two. I look at him and Jason Tatum. They're kind of the next ring below the Jokic and the Embiid in that case. But it does feel like this is probably the season. Like if Embiid's gonna get it any season, this feels like the one because of, like I mentioned, with the games played and things like that. It feels like this would be his season to win it.
Especially with Nuggets kind of I don't want to say tanking, but they've been off the last couple games. So if that trend continues to go and 76ers are still winning, we may see Embiid take it right at the end. And by the way, good point on obviously like your team got to win because if wins didn't matter, I'm pretty sure Dame Lillard would have been an MVP by
Oh,
now.
for sure. Oh, yeah. If wins didn't matter, absolutely, bro. Like, and it that's a whole nother conversation for another day, bro. Because like, I really want him to leave Portland, bro. Because like, I want to see him have an actual chance to win the title before the end of his career, and I just don't ever see that team. Not to that they haven't tried to put a team. They made some moves this offseason. It just didn't work out, bro. And it seems like everything that they try, it just doesn't work out. And for both him and the team, if they were to move him, get a bunch of assets back, they can kind of reset the table there. But Dame is going the same way as KG, bro. It's just he's gonna look back, and I think he's gonna be like, man, I probably should have left Portland early.
But KG won a title.
But he left. He finally got stuck.
Right.
It took for him because even before they end up moving him to Boston, there was talking. He had that no trade clause, and he said he didn't want to go to Boston. Then Boston got Ray Allen, and then he reconsidered, and then they end up trading for him. So, but he stayed in Minnesota so long. Which if he would have left before signing that last contract with Minnesota, maybe he would have got one earlier than that.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, that's a whole, like you said, a whole nother topic. But James, one of my favorite non-Nick players, and I feel so bad for him, but I appreciate his loyalty. He has that like 1990s loyalty, and at the same time, if rings, I don't want to say rings is not important to him, but at the end of the day, he's probably like, you know what, I'm gonna just continue getting this bag. Maybe he likes it in Portland, which is odd because it's a small market. But hey, some dudes are like that, and he's literally the king of
That's
Portland.
true. Yeah.
So.
Yeah, he's set in Portland. He runs that city. Getting off the MVP race, I want to talk about the playoff race. And so there's always teams or a team that completely disappoints no matter how good they looked in the regular season. So I wanted to talk about which team or teams we think is going to disappoint big time in the playoffs. I'll let you go first on this one, JB.
So remember, you heard it here first on NBA Central. The Nuggets will not, I repeat, will not, and I'm being generous when I say this, will not pass the second round. I really want to say the first round, but I'll be generous and I'll say they will not pass the second round. The number one team in the West will not pass the second round. I guarantee.
Damn. Why? Come on, give us some reasons. Flesh that out.
So the way I'm looking at it, right, is in the first round, they're probably going to have to play either, depending on how things finish, maybe Dallas, maybe the Lakers if they sneak on in, or maybe the Warriors. I don't see them, beating any of those teams, honestly. And I know a lot can be said about the Warriors and the Lakers. I'm not a LeBron fan, but I know a lot can be said about those teams. But I just feel the matchup, when it comes to a 7-game series, it's going to be different. And let's just say they happen to pass them, then they got to meet KD and Book in the second round, which I know that it's just not happening. That's just not my prediction. It would just take it a step further. It's probably going to be the Suns and the Bucks in the finals.
Okay, we'll see. We'll see. My team, though, and I don't even know if I can pick it. So I after the Kyrie Irving trade, I waited till I saw 3 games of them playing together, and I said, "There's no way this team's going to win the playoff series." The Dallas Mavericks are not going to win a single playoff series. Now they've fallen, and I think their record is starting to match that. Like they won 2 in a row, they've lost. I mean, they've only won 4 out of the last 10, though. But I just don't see that Dallas Mavericks team to me just does not play the level of defense that's needed to really go on a playoff run. Once you get into X's and O basketball, I think they're going to be exposed. But I'm not going to pick them just because right now they're the 6th seed. So I don't see if a 6th seed is eliminated in the first round. I don't necessarily look at that as an upset. Yeah, they got tons of talent, but you got to believe what they're showing you. And that team does not look very good. They can score a lot, but they just don't. They look terrible defensively, bro.
Would you say, like, if you had to throw somebody in the top 4, East or West, who would you throw?
Top 4, bro. That's it. Because I think I look at the top 3, at least in the East, and I think they're all going to make it far. Cleveland Cavaliers, I could see them not making it out the second round, but again, that's the first year that team came together. I don't necessarily see it. I'm going to say,
wait, hold up. Cleveland Cavaliers not making it out the second round.
They're not making it out the second round.
How they making it out the first round when they play my Knicks?
They're playing the Knicks. They're playing the Knicks, bro. Like, come on.
We here,
bro.
We here, man.
Like, bro, come on. Like, let's admit it. Let's admit it. How many times have you been disappointed by the Knicks in the playoffs when they look pretty good?
The history doesn't matter, bro. It's what's going on right now. Bump the history, man.
Oh, well, we'll see with that one. But I'm gonna say this. What would the matchup be? Depending on if the Golden State Warriors get to a point to where they're facing the Sacramento Kings in the first round, I don't think the Kings make it past the Warriors.
Yeah, the Kings have been really interesting. They came out of
I mean, they
nowhere this season.
and they have statistically one of the best offenses in NBA history, not just this season. One of the most efficient offenses of NBA history. I don't quite see it for them, brother.
Where did do you remember off the top of your head, where did the Kings finish last season? This is gotta be one of the biggest turnarounds for a team ever.
Let's see. I can find that pretty easily. Give me 1 second. Last year, the Kings finished at 12th in the West.
And now they're second in the West. That's it. I can't remember a team making such a big turnaround. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah, that
and it's not like
wild.
they had it's not like they have like a major like top 5 talent on their team or anything.
I mean, it depends on how you look at De'Aaron Fox, but I mean, he's an amazing scorer,
Top
but
5.
he has his issues. Oh, you said top 5? No, definitely not.
Yeah,
Top 5. Not top 5.
Right. He's a star for sure.
Yeah, for sure. I like the Kings. I love watching the Kings play. Domantas Sabonis is he's a monster when he gets going and gets the scoring. But if that team faces the Golden State Warriors in the first round, which is what it would be slated for right now, I think experience wins out on that one.
Yeah, I can see that. And that was kind of my case if the Warriors have to play the Nuggets. I mean, obviously the Nuggets have experience, but the Warriors, they just have that cohesiveness. And when it comes to a 7-game series and you got to face the likes of them with that kind of talent, it's tough. Do you think the Bulls sneak in?
No. In the play-in, probably. I can see them sinking in the playoffs. No, bro. Not right now. Mm-mm.
Yeah. Kind of sucks because you guys have a solid team, man. I mean, you guys have some good pieces.
One of the most disappointing seasons, seriously, because of the expectations around it, right? Because they do have talent, but the Bulls have been so lackadaisical with the heart and effort that's needed sometimes this season that it's just like, hey, you did this to yourself, bro. You did this to yourself.
I think Billy D got to go. That's my number one.
Bro,
first
yeah, thing. I would say that too, but then they gave the motherfucker a goddamn contract extension.
How long?
They that's the thing. They haven't even so we got somebody, it got leaked that they gave him a contract extension. They haven't officially announced anything yet. We don't even know how long it is. All it said that it was several more years. So to me, I hear several. It tells me about 3 is what I'm guessing.
Minimum, right? Yeah. That's it. That's a problem.
It's tough, bro. It's real.
Unless they want to give him a chance to you guys are going literally in rebuild mode, and they want to give him a chance to build up a team and see what he does with it.
I mean, yeah, that's a possibility as well. I don't know, bro. Like, I really don't know. The Bulls have been so frustrating this season, and while they seem like they're turning it around, they've gotten a couple gritty wins here lately. I just still look at that team and I'm like, are you going to have the heart necessary to really go on a run? And it looks like they're doing it now, but we've seen flashes of it throughout the season, and then they've kind of fallen off. So I don't know. But I mean, hell, if they do, I'm going to be right there and be excited. Don't get me wrong. I'm going to be extremely excited if they do. I got to see at this point. I guess where I am with the Bulls, you got to show me. So.
Yeah, I've been watching a couple Bulls games lately, and they're a fun team to watch. Like when DeMar gets going and Levine gets going, they're a fun friggin' team to watch.
For sure. Let's hope that it's better next season, man, and they actually do that, change that roster a little bit, add some things that we're missing, like some size and some shooting. But look, that's for Bull Central. We're getting too focused on Bulls. I don't want to get Bull centric here. When you look at so we talked about teams that we think are going to disappoint. Do you see any teams in the playoff race that you think are going to shock? Maybe have an upset in the series, a la Golden State Warriors, the Baron Davis, the We Believe season. Do you see a team maybe going on a run like that to eliminate and upset a team in the first round or something like that?
I don't want to say it, but I gotta say it, man. And I'm not trying to be a homer here, but I honestly think if it's the seedings are positioned correctly, I can see the Knicks going to the Eastern Conference Finals, bro. And I'm not even kidding. Let me tell you how this happens, though. if for some reason the look on your face says everything. So I honestly believe we're gonna beat the Cavs, like no question about it. I'm not even worried. We're a great road team, so even if the Cavs get the fourth spot, I'm okay with that. Where the issue comes in and where I think stops us from going to these conference finals, it all depends on how the Bucks finish. If the Bucks finish in first place, we'll be lucky if we win two games against them. But if for some reason the 76ers or the Celtics happen to get that one spot, because that race is not far,
Yeah.
I feel we can beat 76ers or Celtics in a 2-game series. We beat the Celtics pretty well this season. We have a good shot against them, and I think we can do the same with the 76ers. So I see Knicks, if the matchups are right, they could go deep. Outside of that, you can never ever count out the Warriors, obviously.
Mhm.
I don't think they're the one team in the NBA that it does not really matter what seed they
As
are.
long as they make it in,
just
right?
doesn't matter.
Yeah, that's I mean, this is the one season where it does seem like maybe they won't flip the switch like we're used to. Like they do seem more immortal than ever before. But to me, until I see it, I'm always going to bet that the Warriors, come April, they're going to flip a switch, and then all of a sudden they're just going to go on a different level.
Let me ask you this question, not to steer topics. If the Lakers get in, which it's looking like they may, because they're starting to uptrend a little bit. And I mean, literally, if you look at like number 6 through like 11 or something like that, there's literally
They're
like three,
separated
four
by like
games
no,
separating.
they from
Or
number 7 to 11 where the Lakers are. There's only 1.5 games separating all those teams.
that's insane. So if the Lakers get into the actual playoffs, forget playing the playoffs, do they make a run?
I still think they don't make it out the first round. I do think they can make it interesting. I think the Lakers are going to make the play-in. I do think that there's a chance they may make it out the play-in tournament just because they would have to be playing at such a level and that I think they ride in some momentum. I just don't know if they're going to be able to win the playoff series. I do think they can make it interesting. I just don't see the Lakers making I can bet on them winning a play-in or getting out the play-in because 2 teams make it out the play-in. I just can't necessarily see them winning a playoff series yet. So
Yeah, I'm with you on that. They can't.
yeah. Yeah.
I think the LeBron experiment is over, but obviously he still has another year or whatever, 2 years or whatever's left on his contract. I think it's a year, and then he has like a player option or something like that.
Yeah. Another team that I want to point out here, and I know I know they've lost I think 3 in a row at this point, but I do still think that the Brooklyn Nets can make it interesting, depending on the matchup. Just because that's a deep team, that's a young team that is coached well, and I do think that they could possibly. I'm not saying make it out the first round or anything like that, but I do think that if a team kind of overlooks them and thinks, oh, well, they traded KD and Kyrie away, they got a lot of young but talented and inexperienced players. I think that they can push it a series to 7 games, and we'd be looking at that first round. Like, did the Brooklyn Nets really just push? Like, I don't know who they be. Like I think they'd be facing the Boston Celtics now.
Boston,
yeah. I think we could look at it and be like, did the Brooklyn Nets really just push the Boston Celtics to a 7-game series? Maybe 6. Maybe 6.
Yeah. Yeah, I was gonna say I could see 6, maybe 7. You never know, because when it comes to when it comes to playoffs, any crazy shit can happen. But I can see a 6 to 7 series. Don't never underestimate a young gritty team that has heart. And I'll go back to my Knicks. That's literally what we are. I mean, do we have some top 5 player? No. Do I think Jalen Brunson is a future star? Yes. But they're playing with straight heart right now and gritty basketball. And I think the Nets, if they do that, they can at least win a couple games. Get out of the first round, that's a tough one, but I could definitely see them winning a couple games. The thing with the East is it's so locked in with the top 3, Bucks, 76ers.
It almost doesn't
Celtics.
matter, right?
It almost doesn't matter. Do I think those teams can get? Do I think Celtics or 76ers can? I don't think no one can beat Bucks, honestly. Outside of those teams, I don't think anyone can beat the Bucks. They're just too good. Giannis is too good.
That's fair. Anything left, JB, before we end?
Nah, man. Listen. We can obviously sit here and talk for like 10 hours about anything, but we'll leave some for later.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. So JB hopefully is officially back. I'm gonna wait till he actually makes 5 episodes in a row before I say it, because JB could disappear at any point in time. But
100%.
glad to have my brother.
I gotta work the gimmick, bro. The prodigal one is back. That's the gimmick.
If you guys want to follow my brother JB, you make sure you do so at the prodigal one JB, right? The P1 JB. It's been so long since I had to plug it. The P1 JB. If you want to follow me, you can do so at CEO Haize. You want to follow the show, you can do so at NBA Central Pod on every social media platform. You can also send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns, NBA Central Show at gmail.com. But for JB, I'm Haize. This is NBA Central. Make sure you guys are locked in. Hit the subscribe button. We out, y'all. Peace.
This has been a presentation of the Breaks Media.